Hello, I'm a retired general. Welcome to my channel. I'm here because what you see on the news tells you what is happening. I'm going to tell you what it means, as someone who has read intelligence assessments and been inside decision-making rooms. One more thing before we begin. This channel uses its revenue to fund student scholarships. If you subscribe, like, and comment, you are directly supporting that mission. Please hit subscribe now and turn on notifications. Now let's get into it.
یکی منبع‌های نفت دارن.
7 days ago, he stood in the streets of Tehran, looked into a camera, and sent a personal message to the President of the United States. His exact words, "Watch out for yourself, lest you be eliminated." This morning, Ali Larijani is dead. Israel killed him overnight. And here is what makes this bigger than any headline you will read today. Larijani was not just Iran's security chief. For the last 18 days, since the opening strike killed Supreme Leader Khamenei, on February 28th, Ali Larijani was the man actually running Iran. He was making the decisions. He was managing the war. He was the one who told Trump to watch out. Now he is gone. Before we go further, I am going to answer one question at the end of this video that every intelligence agency on Earth is asking right now. Who is actually in charge of Iran today? Stay with me. The answer is not what you expect. Most Western coverage calls Larijani Iran's security chief. That is technically correct and almost completely misleading about what he actually was. He was 67 years old, son of a senior Ayatollah, brother of a former head of Iran's judiciary. He did not climb into power. He was born into the center of it. He served 12 years as Speaker of Iran's parliament, the longest anyone has ever held that position. 12 years. He outlasted every political shift, every internal power struggle, every factional battle inside the Islamic Republic, and remained standing. In 2021, he flew to Beijing and negotiated Iran's 25-year strategic partnership with China, a deal worth hundreds of billions of dollars designed to keep Iran's economy alive under Western sanctions. When Iran needed a lifeline, Larijani was the man who secured it. He was the key liaison managing Iran's relationship with Russia, the intelligence coordination, the weapons transfers, the targeting data. That relationship ran through him. The U.S. Treasury sanctioned him personally. Their own words, one of the first Iranian leaders to call for violence against the legitimate demands of the Iranian people. On March 10th, he posted publicly in response to Trump's threats, "Iran does not fear your paper threats. Watch out for yourself lest you be eliminated." On March 13th, 4 days ago, he walked through Tehran's streets, took selfies with passers-by, did a live television interview. He told the interviewer, "It's clear the Americans are running out of steam." That same day, the U.S. State Department put a $10 million bounty on his head. His response, he quoted a Shia martyr, "I do not see death as anything but happiness." That night, Israel killed him. Larijani was not the only target. In the same operation, the IDF confirmed it killed General Hossein Salami, commander of Iran's Basij paramilitary forces, along with his deputy. The Basij is the force that crushed Iran's domestic protests, that carried out mass arrests, that ran the detention centers. Its commander was killed in a makeshift tent, not at any known headquarters. Iran's top officials are no longer staying in fixed locations. They are moving constantly, using improvised shelters. Israel is finding them anyway. The IDF also killed the IRGC's aerospace force chief overnight. And according to an Israeli official speaking to the Jerusalem Post, the majority of the Basij senior leadership was eliminated in the same operation. One night, the man running Iran's war, the commander of Iran's internal suppression forces, his deputy, the IRGC aerospace chief, most of the Basij senior leadership. Now the question I said I would answer, who is actually running Iran right now? Let me lay out what we know. Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, Iran's supreme leader for 37 years, was killed on day 1, February 28th. Mojtaba Khamenei was appointed his successor on March 8th, but he is wounded, hiding at a secure location, and has not made a single public appearance in 18 days. The IRGC reportedly forced his selection by threatening clerics who opposed it. Ali Larijani was filling that vacuum. The IDF's own statement called him the de facto leader of the Iranian terror regime. He was making decisions, managing alliances, appearing publicly when Iran needed a voice. Now he is gone. The Jerusalem Post identifies 3 possible remaining figures. First, Ahmed Vahiti, the IRGC's newly announced commander, a deputy who was not a top 10 figure before this war, experienced but largely unknown publicly. Second, President Peshkian, viewed by analysts as too weak to control the IRGC. Third, Mojtaba Khamenei himself, if he is healthy enough, If the IRGC will follow him, here is the honest answer. Iran has lost so much of its experienced senior leadership in 18 days that the question of who has the authority, the institutional knowledge, and the respect to make binding strategic decisions is genuinely unclear, even to intelligence agencies, even to Iran. That is not a comfortable situation for anyone. Not because Iran is about to collapse, it is not, but because a military with unclear command authority makes unpredictable decisions. And unpredictable decisions at this scale are how things escalate past the point of control. While the leadership eliminations dominated day 18, the war escalated on every other front. Iran struck Fujairah, one of the only remaining bypass routes around the Strait of Hormuz. Ships have been attempting to use Fujairah as an alternative to avoid the Hormuz closure. Iran hit its oil storage zone, which holds approximately 70 million barrels of refined petroleum products. They are closing the alternatives, one by one. Day 18 of the strait closure. 0 confirmed tanker crossings in either direction. Economists are no longer debating whether a recession is coming. They are debating the severity. Trump formally called on European allies to send warships to help keep the strait open. Every major European power said no. Germany's defense minister said publicly, "What does Trump expect a handful of European frigates to do that the powerful U.S. Navy cannot? This is not our war. We did not start it." Spain ruled out participation. Italy said sending ships would mean entering the war. Even Britain said it would not be drawn into a wider conflict. Trump's response to America's oldest allies was 2 words: "We will remember." Russia, meanwhile, is increasing its support to Iran. 2 U.S. officials confirmed to MSNBC that Russia is providing before and after satellite photos to Iranian targeters, helping them assess whether they are hitting U.S. forces and sending advanced components for the Shahed drones. When the Director of National Intelligence was asked about Russian intelligence sharing at a Senate hearing, her answer was that confirmation would require a closed session. A senator called that the first cousin of a yes. Here is where day 18 leaves us. The man who publicly challenged Trump and promised he would be eliminated was eliminated. 7 days after the threat, 4 days after walking through Tehran's streets, his last communication was a handwritten note commemorating Iranian sailors who had been killed. Whether he wrote it before the strike or his team published it after, the image is striking. The last thing Ali Larijani said to the world was not defiance. It was grief. Iran has now lost its supreme leader, its de facto operational commander, its Basij chief, and most of its senior military leadership in 18 days. The Strait of Hormuz is closed. The missiles are still flying, and the question of who makes Iran's next decision has never been harder to answer. Subscribe. Notifications on. When Iran responds to Larijani's killing, and it will, I will be here with the full breakdown. Now tell me, with Iran's entire senior leadership eliminated in 18 days, do you think this war ends at the negotiating table, or does an Iran without clear leadership become more dangerous, not less? Drop your answer below. I read every one.